For the defense, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, Counselor. Good evening, members of the jury. First off, I want to thank you after this brief trial. Thank you for showing up, because without you, our system would not work. It was your duty to come in for jury duty, and we thank you for that. Now, I won't be long, but remember when the lawyer always says that, he probably will be long, so I just wanted to warn you. As plaintiff mentioned, and she mentioned correctly, that this is not about Kristen Mannix. Excuse me, strike that. It's not about her negligence. She's correct. What it's about is two things. The two things that it's about is about the negligence of her father. And the second thing is about two adults entering into a contract, knowing full well the terms, understanding the terms, and more importantly, having an opportunity to read those terms. Now, the judge will tell you that what the law is once this trial is wrapped up. But the facts, all the facts came from this jury box. Strike that, came from the witness chair. And those are the only facts that you can take into consideration. So what are some of those facts? We found out that Mr. Mannix, who is a graduate of the Naval Academy, pretty pristine in Annapolis. And he's also an airline pilot. So what does that tell you if you were thinking about that? Well, when you think about that, what does that tell you? It tells you that he understands the English language. It tells you that he's a well-read man. It tells you that he could understand a simple 2-page contract, especially when that contract is not written in fine print. And you'll get an opportunity to take a look at it. I'm not going to show you now because I don't want to waste too much of your time. But ask the judge for that information, for that evidence. When you go back in the jury box, you'll see. Read over that brief contract. It's 2 pages long. Or should I say short? And it's clear. Now, plaintiff counsel is correct about terms that she mentioned, willful and negligence. But the insurance company is clear. I shouldn't say that because I'm going down your line. Okay, strike that. The insurance company is not willful. What happened is not willful. We got to strike that too. What happened is not negligence. What happened was willful. Mr. Mannix, again, an educated man, he had 8 years with this 2-page contract in his home. The witness came in and said it was in his desk. He had 8 years to open up those 2 pages. Would have took him a little bit of time to read that contract, and he would have understood that his underage, unlicensed, minor child cannot drive the golf cart. And interestingly enough, now the plaintiff had one point of view, but think about the facts. Think about, use your common sense here. Would a person ride a golf cart or drive a golf cart if they never driven it before? Our witness, Ms. Morin, testified that Kristen always drove that golf cart, and she drove it in a reckless manner. So she was used to driving that golf cart. That's why it was easy for her to get in there and take her son and take her brother to the grandma's house for help. So plaintiff is right. It's about a breach of contract. In fact, it is about a breach of contract. But it's because of the plaintiff's breach, allowing his daughter to drive that golf cart, not reading the contract in the first place. And you'll see, once you take a look at that evidence, Mr. Mannix signed off on the contract. You'll see his signature in black ink, where he signed to agree to follow the rules of this contract. Again, a very educated man. He filed things such as flight plans and checks the weather. So if you can understand, as a pilot, if you can understand that, surely you can understand a contract that says, do this, we will grant your policy, do this and we won't grant your policy because you are in breach. And that's what Mr. Maddox did. He breached the contract, the insurance company, in good faith. What did they do? When they first found out about that accident, submitted $25,000 to the Maddox family in good faith to help take care of their medical bills. And I will add, as the Maddox family still has that $25,000, despite receiving a letter that said that their claim would be denied. Now it's about your duty. Mr. Maddox understands duty. He understands having your honor and respect because he's served in the Navy and he's an Air Force pilot, airline pilot. So where does that leave us? Plaintiff had to show, since it's a breach of contract, that the defense breached the contract, that the defense did something wrong. Let's take a look at that. Again, $25,000 in good faith. They didn't raise the rates. 8 years of policy. And Mr. Whitlock is a good friend of Mr. Maddox. And if it was about like friendship or bad feelings or something like that, would you think that Mr. Whitlock, who's been friends with Mr. Maddox for over 10 years, wouldn't you think that he would say, hey, I'm gonna help my friend out and I'm gonna help sure this policy get granted? But it's not about that. As I told you in my opening statement, it's not about feelings, it's about facts. The insurance company has people called adjusters. And let's get this out there. Mr. Gurney, the vice president, some testimony was had during this trial that Mr. Gurney, and yes, indeed, he may have said something that a jerk would say. A good one on us, good one for us because it was denied. But the point is, it's not what Mr. Maddox, it's not what Mr. Gurney says, it's not what the relationship with Mr. Whitlock has with Mr. Gurney. It's about what the insurance adjusters go out and find after they investigate the accident. And what they found was the unlicensed, underage daughter always recklessly drove that golf cart. And on this day, she drove that golf cart again. Our witness said she drove it reckless. Ms. Moran, their witness, Mr. Silverman, who was taking out his garbage at the time, he mentioned she was driving well. It's for you to decide, jury. Take a look at the facts. You've heard them. Take a look at them again when you get those evidence and decide who breached the contract. Maddox for putting an insurance policy, 2-page insurance policy, under his bed, in his desk for 8 years and not reading it, or testimony that came out during the trial where it said Mr. Maddox relied on Mr. Whitlock, the insurance agent, saying that there was nothing inside the policy that could, restrict your use of the policy. Okay. Again, where's the responsibility on Mr. Maddox? You have a good friend, sure. But you have a responsibility when you sign your name to a contract. You have a duty to make sure you follow that contract. Now, if you didn't want to follow the contract, there's a lot of options you could have done. There's many insurance companies out there you could have canceled a long time ago. But you agreed to sign with Global Insurance Company. You agreed to follow their policy, meaning you cannot violate any law, any regulation. Testimony came, the Homeowners Association had a policy that said underage drivers, underage unlicensed people cannot drive. And California residents know that you must have a driver's license to drive on the roads. So the Maddox understood this. They're out of town. They're allowed a kid to drive when they're in town as well. So think about it. Who breached the contract? Now, it's okay. Plaintiff brought up the time, 8 years, and now we have one accident, and now you don't want to pay. But they forgot to mention this part. I don't want to harp on it, but I'm gonna have to. 8 years, Mr. Maddox failed to read the contract, failed to even ask questions, further questions, because his friend, Mr. Whitlock, he's an insurance agent. He's like the first person you meet when you deal with an insurance company. But there's many other people's. In fact, there's an 800 number on the insurance policy. Every insurance policy, and including your insurance card, has an 800 number. Many people work in the call center that you can ask questions about to make sure, hey, I know I signed this contract, which means he read the contract, but maybe I forgot something in the contract. Maybe I want some clarity on this. So can you help me with this? You could have done that, but it didn't. You've heard all the facts. You've seen the evidence. And again, I implore you, request the judge give you the insurance contract. And you'll see Mr. Maddox's name, what he agreed to. Read it over and ask that you return a verdict in favor of the defense that we're not liable, and in fact, the plaintiff breached the contract.